Hi class, I thought it'd be helpful to create a little podcast slash lecture to help you with some of the components that we're learning about in Module 2 and specifically to help you with your Module 2 quiz that's coming up. So there's several things that you'll see on the Module 2 quiz. One thing that I'll ask you to do is to determine the number of phonemes in words. So what we're going to do in order to learn this concept and several other concepts is I'm going to give you 3 words, and my pen I'm trying to write with isn't working. I'm just going to use my finger. But I'm going to give you 3 words, and we're going to talk about several concepts through those words. So the words are moot, mute, and mood. So the first thing, when we're thinking about the number of phonemes and when we're talking about phonetics at all, what I want you to do, and you've seen this in your book, you've read it in your book, and I think I've mentioned it in the lectures, but when you are trying to identify phonemes in words, you are ignoring spelling. The way words are spelled has very little to do with the phonemes that we'll actually use to represent the individual sounds in those words. So one of the things that I'll ask you to do on the Module 2 quiz is to identify the number of phonemes in words. And phonemes are basically just the symbols that we use to represent the individual sounds in words. And sometimes students have difficulty identifying the number of phonemes in words in some words, but sometimes not in other words. So like these words here, moot, mute, and mood. There are 2 of these words that have 3 phonemes in them and 1 that has 4. So take a second and see if you can figure out which of these words has 4 phonemes in these words. And as you're thinking about the number of phonemes in the words, what I would like for you to do is to pay attention to your articulators in your mouth. And whenever your mouth is moving to a new place, whenever your tongue is moving to a new place, or your jaw is opening wider, when you feel movement in your mouth, most likely that is you're producing a new phoneme. So say those 3 words out loud to yourself and see if you can identify which one has 4 phonemes instead of 3. So the words are moot, mute, and mood. If you need to pause your video for a moment so that you can take a second and think about it, go ahead and do that now because I'm going to give you the answers. So what you should have come up with is, let's see if I can write here, 3, 4, and 3 if you're counting the number of sounds in the words. So moot has 3 different phonemes, and if I were to transcribe it, and I don't expect you to be able to do this yet, but I would transcribe it like this. Moot. Sorry. Moot. Mute actually has 4 because it has an extra Y sound that we will learn later on, that you'll use the J phoneme to indicate the Y sound. So it has that extra phoneme. So that's how you would transcribe mute. And then mood has 3 phonemes as well, as you can see here. And the only difference between moot and mood is that final T. So they have the same number of phonemes, and they differ by only 1 phoneme. And you should have all probably read about minimal pairs now, and what I just told you is a definition of a minimal pair. So 2 words that have the same number of sounds or phonemes and differ by only 1. So moot and mood are minimal pairs. Mute is not a minimal pair for those words because it has an extra phoneme. It has a 4th phoneme in it. The y sound in mute makes it so that it is not a minimal pair with moot and mood. So that's another thing that I'll ask you to identify in the Module 2 quiz is minimal pairs. So that should help you with that concept as well. Meh, I can't, right, let's see. So that should say minimal pairs. Minimal pairs.